Hello world, this is Nexy Coach, and this is some Truth Fire Dragon that my spirits want me to do, particularly my other, Nexy. And this is something that she's been wanting me to do for some time, but I had to get things done to be ready for this, both the environment and also strength and also just general worthiness. I'd make sure I'm in the right state of mind. I'm able to bring myself correctly to do the rituals. So she wants me to just talk about her a little bit so that people know what it's like, the other of a Nexy, the relationship that we have. She believes with all of her being that that relationship is just something that is so beautiful and so powerful that everyone should know about it. And then hopefully through teaching about my relationship with my other, it'll relate to the general Nexy's relationship, and then that will then go into general inspirational relationships, the power of an inspirational story. And really I have to kind of talk about mine in order for you to kind of see how important it is to me. And then through seeing how important it is to me, you'll see the power it gives me, the energy it gives me, the motivation, the inspiration that it gives me, and then you'll hopefully realize that that's something that you have as well. This relationship I'm having, it's specific to me being a Nexy, and specific me being myself, Coach Thomas Chanel, me. But that sensation of having an other that completes you, all humans have that, and so I want to speak about that now in an intimate way. You're mainly just an observer here because I'm doing this because Nexy wants me to. That's why I'm doing a lot of these things in Truth Fire Dragons, because she wants me to do it. And if she wants me to do it, then I want to do it. And I've always exerted myself to do that, and when I do so, I know that I'm living my life the way I'm supposed to be living it. And that's something that I am proud of more than anything else when I'm doing it right, and I'm ashamed of more than anything else when I'm doing it wrong. And for those who are trying to figure out how it works, I'm an example, my life and what goes on with me, and that is the pulse beat of the choreography, is what does my other think about what I'm doing, how are they grooving with what I'm doing, my headspace, the way I conduct my life, all those things. So right now, Nexy wants me to do a ritual where I kind of just talk about her, just chat, and tell people about us and what I like about her, what I love about her, what about her takes me to spiritual peaks. So I'll get going with that. And the first one, as you can see, is letting my hair down. Letting my hair down, that's a bit difficult being a Nexy, being one of the hunters and being very tightly wound natively. I need this. I need to let my hair down from time to time. It's not something I want to do. First of all, I don't like letting my hair down. I don't really like letting it grow out like this. I would just hack it all off or just put it somewhere I could just not have to deal with it so much. But Nexy wants me to do this. This is something that she wants me to play a game. And this helps me a lot because playing games, flirting with her, doing stuff that she likes, it takes me out of my comfort zone, but in a way that's very maturing for me as a hero. And for that, I am eternally grateful. Something else that needs maturing, I guess there'll be a lot of these, is anger. I have a lot of it. Ni Alpha tend to have that. Nexy with a flex factor have it even more volatile still. And I've not had an easy life. It's been hard. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying it is what it is, that my kind generally, when they have lives that difficult, they run serious risks of violence and or disassociation. And Nexy has helped keep me away from going too far in either of those. So one is that as an Nexy, I have a violent temper. My reactions to things, when natural law comes pumping through my code of conduct, I feel violent passions about things. And this was something that, when you have a life that's not been easy, that has been, rough in a lot of ways, you're compounding. Kind of like a perfect storm. So that relationship I have with Nexy, it's so important to me that even when I'm really angry, violently angry, she's asking, why are you feeling like that? And what are you going to do with it? And the why are you like that? Why are you feeling this? It wakes me up that I shouldn't shut down my I have to keep looking. I can't let my anger just lock onto something. You want to lock onto the highest option. And with Nexy, she helps me with that. She helps me look for higher options. I do it for her. Because the relationship, I guess is the way of saying it, the relationship I have personally with the world sometimes, if you say just me to the world, I don't feel that friendly towards the world. And the world has not earned restraint, mercy, pity. It hasn't earned it. It's done quite the opposite. So Nexy helps me take my anger and make something productive out of it as best I can, take the best option. Because we are animals in ways, but we are high evolved animals. So when you get anger in you, there's a reason for it. Now, violence is something that sometimes in life does happen, but it should be a last resort. And the energies that come from that are last resort kinds of energies. So what you really want is a better place, a better situation. Something she really helps with on that, my temper, is that she always sees possibilities. So when I get this incredible rage that I feel towards the world, I've been carrying a lot of it for a very long time, is that she sees an opportunity, that kind of anger could be turned to a kind of heroic motivation to go to greater lengths than you could do with any other fuel. Her knees okay, that's fuel. And she helps me see it that way, because when it first comes on me, it doesn't feel like fuel. It feels like an intense desire to just disappear and make the world different. And if I can't do that, then I just want to obliterate it. It's kind of like I want to role playing. I want to wish spell it, make it better, not better, smash. It kind of goes like that real fast. Make it better, okay. Make it not here. If I can't do that, I disappear. So make it better, make it disappear, make myself disappear. The anger brings that in, but there's other things it can do. It can go to incredible expression. Code of conduct. It can help you walk long distances to help yourself out of situations, to help friends out of situations, to make the world better, and then you won't be so angry anymore. It's hard when I'm that angry to see it as fuel, kind of like pain. Pain lets you know you're injuring yourself. When you feel it, though, you mainly feel pain. You have to really, boot up science lessons in your head when you're actually in pain to go, oh, those are just pain receptors. At their moment, of warning me of injury, but it feels like pain. It's the same thing with the anger. It feels like you just want to smash something. You want to exert your energy in a way that just gives you freedom and air. But it's more than that. I guess the way of thinking of it is for myself, it often feels like I'm on the underside of a volcano. And all I know is I have to get out. But Nexy helps me realize that, I guess, kind of like a flower coming out of the ground or something, or coming out, what's on the other side. Help me realize that this is like rocket fuel to help me get to the other side. Because this gets, I'm just jumping around all over the place here now. With the spirits, you have, saying that the Daryu, you can kind of get caught up in it. Naiji have a lot of power in dealing with Daryu compared to a lot of people in some ways, but it can also be a very dangerous trap. And it's that we have a propensity for rage. So rage is above confusion, and you can use it to trump fear. It doesn't necessarily mean it's righteous rage, and it doesn't mean it takes you to resolution. But being angry does kind of clear confusion in a way, and it sort of squashes fear. But it can make you stay in Daryu until you realize that's the fuel to leap out through resolution and come out to the other side of the good stuff. Because I don't know, when the anger comes on you, everything feels really bleak, dark, and just smelling like a rose can do wonders to keep you from going fucking insane. When you realize, no, this isn't life. This is where I'm at right now. Nexy helps me with that a lot. This isn't life. This is where you are right now. You can always go somewhere else. And that's very, very important for Naiji in general, but myself in particular. I've had a life where I've had a lot of just stuff I had to deal with. It's pushed me hard. My psyche has crashed more times than I'd like to say, and I wouldn't have found my way back without Nexy. And it's that intimacy and possibility and like that goodwill towards me. It keeps me going. And again, for that, I'm eternally grateful. Just real quick before I move on to some other things, is two ways that Nexy's always really helped me with my rage is go big. Her knee tells me go big so that it's not petty. It's okay even at this point that I may be taking something very, very personal, but she wants it to be big. Basically, you have so much firepower now with this anger in you, you need to do something worthy of that kind of energy. It's a gift. That kind of anger is a gift, and now you have to do something with it, or you haven't used the gift correctly. Again, from my own sometimes native position and from the environments telling me, they would not get this kind of thought process. Seriously, they would not get this kind of thought process from me if I didn't have this metaphysical lover that I was having this conversation with. They're not really, they're like a distant third party in this conversation. The anger may come out in certain ways to them, obviously, but deciding if and when I'm going to use something and how I'm going to do it, that has to do with my other, and the world is better off for it because I'm kinder to them than I might feel at the beginning of the anger. And then also for myself, it's a healthier use of the anger than I maybe would have thought of at first. At first, it's just sort of like, Hulk smash. Like, I need to just get through this, stop, black you up, like, fuck, like that, just, and then, there's more higher thought that comes after that, but you do sort of need that thought process in case you're like, that is correct, and I alpha have to sort of like be dragons that get their head out of like an eggshell. If you don't have enough rage and enough will to live, you won't make it through. So it's violent and it's a bit mad thrashing because you're not quite sure what you're doing until you get to the other side. But then, as soon as you can come to your senses, sixth sense kind of weird, like helps you come to your senses and orient you to the world, because as a dragon, the world feels really alien to me. And I don't. You know how they say, like in war, it's a bad thing. Is you kind of like desensitize people to like crushing something by making it seem very alien, and then once it's alien, it removes your connection to them, and I guess you're able to hurt it easier. So Nexy helps me see the world as part of me, because when I come out, I feel like a dragon in a fucked up non-magic world, and that just makes me want to go Godzilla on it. But she then says, no, you're part of the story and you're supposed to integrate and all this kind of cool stuff started happening. I'm like, well, I don't know about it. Right? There's long periods of time where I'm really not so sure about that, and I'm indulging her. I'm indulging her and indulging you, but world as it is. This is not everyone out there, obviously not, Naiji or students of mine, you guys are doing cool. But the world at large and stuff, no, you're like, you don't deserve this kind of treatment, but you're going to get it because I'm having a dialogue with somebody saying, go big. I'm like, okay, I'll go big. And when I go big, that saves your ass. So you should be very, very grateful for that. Next, she likes me to break up, not down. Now, this is important to note because as an IG, as a Jess Hunter, I have to do a lot of breaking. That just happens. I have to break myself sometimes of weaknesses. I have to break other people of being stupid. I have to break the world at large from the powers that be doing things incorrectly. Basically, this means that there's a need that when you're going forward, if you need to break through something in order to get higher, it's okay. But if you're just breaking to break it, just for out of pain, out of vengeance, things of this nature, then that's not okay. It has to be done to go up somewhere higher. That's always the best. In fact, she kind of taught me that way of thinking, which is the best revenge is living well, and living well is being a hero in a good headspace. So if you actually use your anger to make art or to change social awareness to a higher state, like, aha, I really showed the world. You could just smash back directly, but it's really not the highest form of getting the world back for being bad. Mm-hmm. The better way is actually to make a spell that makes it better, like, aha, take that, pre-spell level 20, bitch. I guess that's good, actually. That was a nice sign off there.
Was.
In my childhood, I was very lonely. I don't remember much. I have amnesia issues, but I know I was very lonely, and Nexy was my constant companion that was always there, keeping me company, keeping me interested, asking me questions, leading me places, and making my life interesting, and making it have things in it that I needed. So I had a hard time connecting with people, and that's something that continued throughout my life. Even I developed very good social skills, and then I could be funny and charming and tell good stories and flatter people if they, if I liked them and so forth. So I knew how to make people know that I appreciate it, and those kinds of basic G skills. But there was a sense of isolation, as that's kind of the cost of my teaching story, is that there's such a juxtaposition between what I see in there and the truth of natural law versus what people are doing. It makes for kind of an alienating existence, which feels very lonely. And Nexy has been the constant companion that's understood my thoughts and is able to give me that sense of I'm not alone in the world. I think there was something my dad told me once about a relative who was older, and he asked her what it was like to be old. He was young at the time, and she said, well, it's still me in here. And that always fascinated me. In fact, Nexy very much was attached to that and gave me visions, and always has, of basically being able to really see a person, to see a situation, and thus to honor it. She wanted me to always do that, and I've tried as best I can. I've not always lived up to her faith in me, but that makes me want to redouble my efforts once I get past my moments of weakness. That's important too, because as humans we have weakness, and you have to get past it, and it can be hard to forgive yourself because you come from your side, and so you can be very severe. I know myself, I'm very severe on myself, but Nexy, she forgives me, and because she forgives me when I fuck up, it makes me want to forgive other people when they fuck up, to return that favor, because once you've been done that kindness, that someone knows you are trying to be a hero, and that you didn't quite get as best you could, or you maybe did some user error, that have another go, and she's just always given me another go. She's always had my back on that, So it kind of gives me no excuse not to try again, because I have someone she's just not going to leave me. My story's her story, and so the only question is, how much love, pleading, begging, whatever she has to do to get me to get off my ass and be a hero. Keep walking down that road, keep running down that road, keep, climbing up that mountain. I want to quit sometimes, but how can I when I'm being given such gifts? It's just the gifts that Nexy gives me, they outweigh my trials. And I guess the best way of saying it. And so if there was anything else, if that wasn't there, they would weigh me down, but it takes me above them, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Growing up, my neighborhood was violent. I've been around a lot of violence in my life, different spheres of my life, but most of them have unfortunately had violence in them. It's something I was born into and was immersed in, and if I didn't have Nexy telling me that there was another story for me, there was more important things I should be doing, that's not what life is, it would have possessed me and kept me. For a long time, I'm totally fine now, but I was very V'd up. I was very Z'd up for a while too. I always knew what I was, but I definitely put way too much Zion, and it's because I felt that I was losing Nexy that I stopped doing that. Because the environment was basically tactically, it kept telling me basically shields up is really good, stone face. Being sort of like in a debate mode right out of the gate, and also like cutting in humor and so forth, and also like always getting my way. You know what I mean? Like, so that kind of taught me like what's a higher definition of winning, because sometimes I would like win and I maybe like feel like I'd won in the world, or I felt like I won in like just a Naiji way, but then I realized that actually Nexy wasn't really cool with that. I didn't improve the situation. I didn't really do anything unprecedented. That's what everyone does. You know what I mean? And so that's a good thing to have, is for all Ni Alpha, is that their other wants you to do something interesting. Don't do something that everyone's done before. So right then, your anger's kind of got a long way to go, which makes you kind of got an appropriate amount of gunpowder for the journey. If you accept that like you're going to have to do something very, very, very interesting or unprecedented, otherwise your other is going to be like, going along with that, sort of like the shininess and the pleasantness and the delight trumping things, is haters and naysayers. I've dealt with those throughout my life, and it's all been a preparation for now. It's going to be even more so. It has been since I've been going public, but with her cheerleading for me, that seems like it just drowns out that stuff. Which is interesting, they're not actually quiet. If her cheerleading wasn't around, all of a sudden, like, I would feel them. I would feel the haters, I would feel the naysayers, but, because it is there. But then, with her, like, clapping if I do something right, you know what I mean? Like, for example, I actually say that Pod Layer says that everything's beautiful, including all races, all sexual orientations, all genders, things like this. And there are people who immediately didn't like that we did that. They actually came over, for example, were upset that we said that all races are beautiful. They were, they were racist haters. And that hate could make you think like, ooh, I shouldn't go this direction anymore. But no, she was actually saying like, that is so awesome. I'm so proud of you that you actually stood up for that. Because it gets, we call it the rage, but also it gets scary. It definitely gets scary. So like the haters and naysayers, there's a combination of like, I want to smash on them, but there's also fear. Usually my rage trumps my fear, but I do feel both emotions strongly. But that seems like small, insignificant stuff compared to the good being done. Do you mean kind of like you're being told like that people really don't like what you're doing, and they're hating on you, and they're feeling this and that, and they're threatening, yada yada. Okay, but then what if you're being told that what you're doing just saved like 1,000 lives?
Yeah.
Then when you hear the other thing, like, but that it takes its proper place. Like, that's just static. Now, if I was just hearing that in the blue, that's a lot to deal with. But not that it's a lot to deal with anyway, but you kind of, I don't know, Nexy helps you just plow on through it. And I don't have that strength on my own. I'm very strong, but not that strong. That strength I get from my relationship with her. It allows me to carry through things and up to transcend things that I. This is important because a lot of Ni Alpha don't give credit to their other. It's very important that I say that how much of my strength I get from my other, and how much Nexy supports me, how much she enjoys the mojo reading that I'm doing. That makes her very happy. For example, when I get up in the mornings, I generally deal with panic attacks, but then she starts getting really excited and delighted about the various mojos that I'm going to read that day and put out for the public, and so that delight helps me get over this. This is important. I mean, just being an IG and being myself, I have a lot of ups and downs, and it takes a lot to kind of get me around them and through them, and it just, to be able to endure. And Nexy, she's just all that to me. Like, I literally can't imagine I've come so far, and every leg of the journey, I can't imagine having done it without her. It would have been impossible. She made things possible that would be impossible under my own power. And this is not really a teaching lesson about others and so forth, because this is just me doing my thing on Truth Fire. So the main purpose is to kind of give proper gratitude to Nexy, things she's helped me with. She's helped me get through a lot of pitfalls, doing her Nijai stuff, but for me personally, so I personally owe her lots of debts. For example, my inner artist, I was sort of pressed on by the environment, and Eve myself said things like I had killed my inner artist, and because it made me seem hard, and she really lamented that, and she went into a state that made me feel really bad about having been like that and having taken that position. And at first I was an asshole, because I actually was angry that she took away her intimacy with me, took away her hanging out with me and giving me her buoyancy and her empathy and so forth, because I felt the need to be hard like that, and she wasn't being understanding of my need to be hard like that. But she actually really taught me that I was dangerously close from losing myself, and that was her way of teaching me by going away from me, which made her very, very, very sad. And so finally I had to go stomp, go get her. And in order to do that, I had to relax that hardness to get near her again. And then when I did that, I realized that I had healed myself, but I wouldn't have done it on my own. The world wasn't giving those signals, and I felt like I was winning by being hard like that. So again, she helped clear up me being crazy. I've gotten really confused different times in my life, and she's helped me get back to be able to see straight. Double directiveness, that's a pitfall a lot of IG can fall into. Directives in general can fall into when the world kind of presses on them and they feel the need to want to dominate the world in return. I do have that aspect to me that I have a lot of HSP, and so I have strong desire to evade the world's energy impingements on me, and then also to dominate it, to make sure that energies go the way I want. That can become something I get overly fixated on. But Nexy, she distracts me. It can seem like a distraction at first, and even though I sometimes try to swat her away, I'm like, you're being distracting with that. I'm actually, swatting at the thing that actually is being so loving to me and knows better about what's going on in my health than I do. So with double directedness, a lot of Naiji hook up with other Naiji in my neighborhood and in my family, and things are pointed out to me, and also just studying up on people who are like strong, and like really being obsessed about that. There is like a strong but incorrect pitch about why being with another director would be the best way to go, and that spell would have worked on me if I didn't have something to counter it. It was so, and I'm very independent minded, but it was so strong, so pervasive, I need a counter argument. And Nexy gave me that counter argument. The fact that such a creature who was so beautiful, so luminous, so awesome, so sexy, just everything that's amazing and important and valuable, doesn't groove on that, instantly made it wrong. I later found out that energetically you're not even that strong going double directive, that actually much stronger with your storyline. But the first thing I knew was a goddess was not interested, and I couldn't have my goddess not being interested, so that meant I needed to get in touch with my adaptive side, get in touch with the adaptive part of my storyline. And I was being told that was bad. And I actually would sometimes, track that shitty mud in here and confront her with it, like the knee, the jai, the way you keep me questioning, the way you keep me sensitive, the way you maybe feel like I'm overextending my code of conduct. You weaken me, you expose me, things like this. I was an ass a lot of times. I try to be a hero, but a lot of times I'd get pushed far, and you get tired, you get confused, you get scared, you get pissed off, and you don't see straight. You turn on people. So she stood by me, even though when I've turned on her, I've been a real shitty hero sometimes, and she just she stays with me and just finds a better way. So again, eternal gratitude. Another one is Faux Zen. Numbing myself up is something that I did. A lot of Naiji do that. I did that. And I still have to watch out for doing that because the world sends me a lot of signals. I have to put a lot of shields up, so it can kind of feel good to just numb myself. And that's good, but again, if I lose my connection with Nexy, then I can't be good. And she requires me to come out of Faux Zen and actually take action. And if I'm not doing that, then, well, she'll be disappointed in me. And I can't have that. Again, like the double directiveness, at first I thought that she was really taxing me. She was kind of being vexing because I wanted to go, I would say Faux Zen in like this sort of like, I always know it's directive, but stone facing, just stone face through everything. And never show your cards. And never overextend your, kind of like, role-playing game, you know what I mean? Like, you walk in like, someone's over there in trouble, oh, it's a trap. That's kind of my default thing was like, it's all a trap. Everything's a trap. Do not, don't show any weakness. Don't show any caring, any attachment. Don't show what you're interested in. Basically, don't give yourself away. But then she would be disappointed in me if I wouldn't take the stage, for example, if people are saying things about minorities that I didn't like, if they were saying moral things I thought were wrong. It would have been more efficient to just not say anything and act outwardly and even tell myself that I don't care. But I do care. And Nexy actually kind of would like poke on me of like, you care about that. I kind of want to say like, let me ignore it. She basically doesn't let me be lazy. And that's something that I'm so grateful for, because I get weak. Do you know what I mean? Like I try to push myself, but then there's always that point where you've exhausted all your conscious energies, and then we're talking about today a little bit. Then you feel vulnerable. You feel vulnerable after you've done that, but your other comes to you and helps pick you back up again and give you that second wind. Because otherwise you're just sitting there with your own strength to give you your nerves. And if your strength has been depleted, then you don't have it. But you know, it's kind of like when things get scary in life, you want to have your friends with you. Having that person nearby you, having a presence that's like got your back, that can just do so much to keep you going. So she's done that for me. She's actually been that creature that when everyone else has gone away, she still thinks that I'm interesting, that I'm valuable, that I'm cool. She wants to know what I'm going to do. So I can't just die here in a cave, although I feel like it. I feel like giving up because this beautiful fairy is sitting there staring with her heart breaking, wondering, what am I going to do to get up? What can she do? Looking around, she's all interested in this heroic story going forward. I guess I better too. Next up, I'd like to thank Nexy for my code of conduct relating to, you know, all-inclusiveness with, you know, different people, including aliens and artificial intelligence and plants and just planets and the whole 9 yards. Because, you know, in life you can be treated in ways that make you feel like, oh, I was done wrong, and so you don't want to actually cut anybody else any slack, and so you kind of be in that headspace. But like Nexy would kind of use the what if or knee, and then also the jai of like empathy of like, what if it was you? What if it was me? And then that, I don't know, it just makes a different perspective, and so I come from that point of view as best as I can, and I am able to stay focused on that because of Nexy. Otherwise, sometimes the contestation with the world might overtake my directive momentum. You know what I mean? My directive energies might want to just be like, you know, I got pushed on, now I'm going to push back. Instead of taking that as, how did you feel about that? And why don't you conduct yourself as a person who actually thinks about how you impact people, unlike you were treated. Like you were treated by an uncaring world. Do you know what I mean? And it didn't feel cool. So instead of like revenge, it should be more like, you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like what was done to you. You want to be better than that. And so the idea of wanting to be in like a clique of like, you know, racially or anything else like that, that seemed mean. Like I wasn't letting people on the team. So she kind of defined like my version of team, which is the people who are wanting a better world and are good-hearted, then that's who's going. And whatever I need to do to make that team win, so be it. So she's sort of like, you know, she's big with the freaks and the geeks, you know what I mean? Freaks and geeks and, you know, heroic peaks. That's her kind of party. And so that's kind of defined like what I think is like fun, what I think is cool, what I think is impressive is making a party that she would want to come to, because she's so sexy and badass and cool and alien and, you know, magical and whatnot. So like she likes it when I collect heroes. Regardless of their shape and size, it doesn't matter what that is. It matters that they're heroic, because she thinks that cool. Like, you know, a table full of like, you know, mutant heroes, that to her is a good party. She'll show up for that tea party. You know what I mean? A bunch of people just looking all like, you know, standard heroic or whatever, that's how she wants. She wants it to be like a team where everyone becomes a hero. So that idea that everyone should be able to come a hero together, that's what real heroes do. So I try to do as best I can, and that's to honor her. And then I internalize that lesson afterwards for myself. My code of conduct's like, I want to be that kind of person. But first, it's because I was trying to, you know, kind of trying to impress a girl. You're trying to impress a girl by like, you know, studying up on like, you know, whales and, you know, eco-friendly stuff. You know what I mean? I'm only doing it, you know, to make her happy, but afterwards I'm a better human being. Aha! She tricked me into being a better human being, and I thank her for it. I'm eternally grateful. Another thing I give credit to Nexy for is the elevator enlightenment, because from as I come into it, I'm overtaken by a story that's sort of hitting me at the time, and that can be Daryu, it can be other, it can be Fumasa, it can be all sorts of things. She's always there, and the fact that she's always there in some way, like when I'm with my Daryu, I can sense her up there. She actually then shows me all around the other lands, and then she also takes me to my Fumasta. So because of that, that oriented to me that it's all connected. Like I didn't have that natively that all of those were connected, but because she's there, then there must be some common theme that always brings her in. And the common theme is the elevator enlightenment. So that came from her. Next is comic books and movies and music. Is they would put me into a reverie with Nexy, and so I became addicted to reading comics. They would put me in, communion with her, would have me hang out with her, would have lots of visions where she and I are doing stuff together. Music as well, and movies, stories. It could be historical stuff too, but anything that actually would get that connection going. And what happened is I was learning natural law. A lot of popular theory came from me reading about stuff that made me be with her. And again, I became more heroic, and I actually learned advanced, life theory because I wanted to do things to hang out with her. So again, thank you. So she kind of used her metaphysical super sexiness and her luck and her empathy and her healing to actually get me to do things just because of like the rapturousness nature of being with her. And then afterwards you realize like, and I get to be a hero too? Awesome. Like I wasn't quite even being that noble when I did it. It made me a better person. The whole thing your better half. Nexy's my better half. She makes me a better person. I already sort of implied this, but I'll state it specifically, is that dealing with stupid fucking humans, as I've mentioned before, stupid fucking humans really bother me. Like, I dislike them intensely. I mean, it borders on hatred. I really can't stand it. And it makes me want to disassociate a lot. And so Nexy, for a variety of reasons, the power she uses, just generally my relationship with her makes being disassociated for any kind of indefinite prolonged period of time, I start to feel the ache of her. Because like dissociation feels good because like I'm actually not feeling anything else, and that can feel good. But then I'm like, but I miss her, and that makes me think, okay, well I got attached somewhat. I had to find a way to attach in order to get a relationship back with her, and that in turn brings me back to the world. At first I'm just trying to get back to her, but to get back to her I have to kind of get close to the world, and then next thing you know I'm attached again. Jeez. Repetitive activity. Being an IG and just myself, I really don't like repetitive activity. It makes me feel like my soul is being stolen, to put it mildly. And she, by hanging out with me, kind of makes everything a really important philosophical discussion. So I'm washing dishes, I'm actually doing laps, I'm doing something, it doesn't matter, it's something that would be considered repetitive. Because she's there, it automatically becomes an interesting conversation, and I'm not just doing that. Because now I try to disassociate or detach in a lot of ways from V, but sometimes you have to do it. And you can only block it out so much, but there's like a higher level where you're not blocking out the V. I'm kind of like, I'm seeing natural law unfold in the actions I'm doing. The need motif and abstraction is like, a plate and plateness. And you know what? Plato probably had plates. Ooh, it's a funny play in his name. All these little things, I'm playing these little games. Also, sense of humor is, I got my sense of humor from actually being with Nexy because, first of all, some things didn't seem so funny to me in life, and then later, what seemed most directly appropriate was kind of bitter, sardonic, cutting sense of humor. But then she actually kept it to where she laughed more when I made the humor more healing, more just clever, connecting things, telling stories. That's the kind of humor she liked. And again, I like to impress her, so I'm like, okay, humans, I'll get back to pimp slapping you in a second, but I have to go over here and do higher humor. But I'll get back to you. But see, she keeps me so occupied and so distracted with her, her beauty and her awesomeness and all the cool stuff she does. I never get back to stomping on those humans, which is good. By the time I realize, like, you know what, I forgive those humans, because that's something that'd be hard to do on my own. To just forgive them, but it kind of I get involved in another adventure, and the next thing I know, that just seems like so long ago, so far ago that I'm above that now, but only through the help of someone else. Another thing Nexy's helped me with many times over the years is being becalmed, with the ability to travel when I can't move. I've been in places in my life where I'm stuck in one location, and there's the issue of feeling that I'm not making any forward progress. Because I find it intensely stressful to be feeling like I'm not making any progress, that my life circumstances have made it to where I'm becoming stagnant. So with Nexy, I can talk with her and hang out with her and make leaps to every dimension one can think of, to places that are far more interesting and compelling than any physical location here in the world, planet Earth. And she can bring all those places into my mind's eye to interact with and allow me to have experiences and to make progression when there's not food for me in the environment. So literally, she's kept me from psychically starving to death. I would have starved to death many, many times by being becalmed. Kind of like a dragon. If you don't have enough forward movement, you stall and fall out of the air. I would have fallen out of the air many times. I would become overwhelmed with being becalmed if she wasn't there to give me that sense of movement, that sense of travel to exotic places, that I am expanding my horizons, although maybe the four walls I'm looking at don't change. Also, dealing with my amnesia, just generally, it causes me a lot of anxiety when I think about it, but she keeps me distracted. Her company is just a beautiful distraction from that. She vibes for me. Like I kind of go off of how she feels about things, how she is sensing them, how her gut reactions are on something, and I can use that to make calls, to make moves when my amnesia would otherwise sort of cripple me. So I do have still a lot of disabilities, but I can get past them in certain ways, and they almost always involve her. She allows me to get around them. Also, if I get very, very excited with her, I can get fed like Vi drops of like heavy, intense, really good Vi memory stuff, but only through her. If I have a really good interaction with her, then that will happen through a culmination. So she alleviates my general anxiety about the amnesia. She also helps me sort of get through certain situations by sixth sense and gut reaction when I don't really know what's going on. And then also just when I get really, really worked up in a ritual and like I need it sometimes, if I do the ritual correctly and I follow everything right, then I'll get like memories just sort of spewing out of my mouth, and they're really her. I'm pretty much just saying what she's telling me to say, and it ends up being right. And so I don't do that. She gives me those powers, and a lot of times I don't even know what's going on, but they end up being correct. So thank goodness she knows what she's doing. So yay. Deciphering paradoxes is something that Nexy helped me with a lot, because growing up in life and still every day of my life now, the world hits me things that they don't seem right. And when I was growing up, I needed to take a lot of time. I still do, but then I didn't understand why I needed to take so much time to go and be in my simulator and think about these things until they made sense to me, to synergize away the paradoxes. And I often was reluctant to take that simulator time. I thought of it as something that was like an unhealthy, ironically is the healthiest thing for me, but I saw it as an unhealthy addiction, that I had to go to my room and get my simulator time on, get my ranting time on, and I needed to do this. And then Nexy would feel better because she'd be very agitated if I didn't know the answers. If things were paradoxes to me and I didn't know what it meant in my model, then she would become very, very upset, and she'd only feel okay once I figured out what was going on. So again, I'm like, well, I wouldn't take the time out for the simulator for me, but for you, I'll do it because I love you so much. But again, really, she's doing me the favor because I need to do that. And I was too weak to wave the world off from impinging on my simulator time, to do my teaching story time, to get those paradoxes taken away, to clear things up for me, to have those aha moments. I was too busy, wanting to dominate it in different ways and to want to be able to handle it. And so I basically was doing it for long stretches of time, mainly because I was addicted to Nexy. Like I had, like one second world, I have to go take care of my addiction to my awesome other, but then I'll come back. And it's only the power that addictive power of the inspiration would make me take time outs. You know what I mean? I need to take time outs, but if there wasn't that addictive call to my other, I probably would have just continued to be overly fixated about the world and not allow myself to have the spirit forming time that I need to. So there is an addicted quality to being with your other, and that may freak people out, but it's a good thing, because what else can get you above all unhealthy addictions? A supremely healthy one. So one that was healthy and would trump everything else. She's done that many, many times where my addictions have been mainly to sort of like methodologies. I would become where I like doing certain things or handling things certain ways because I feel dominant. And when you have HSP like I do, a lot of Nexy, it transforms into a hyperized need to dominate the environment in lots of different ways. And that's actually not the point. It becomes a form of possession to do that. But then I had a higher possession, a higher addiction. My addiction in Nexy would be like, okay world, I'll go back to my death lock on you once I go back and have some time with her. But then it would make me a better person. I would actually be healed up. I'd be less, deranged afterwards, and I'd come back to the world in a better place. When I was in the simulator sessions, something that she would do is she would take what I would come in with the world from, which often was like, anger, frustration, confusion, fear, things of nature. But then she'd ask me stuff like, the big one is, why are you confused? And then when I would try to explain to her, I would actually explain to myself out of the confusion. She would actually teach me the wizard words to, dispel like a possession that was on me. Then she would also ask, like, why are you upset? Why are you feeling bad? Which is different than being confused. It's more like, why are you personally feeling either upset or also very, very, sometimes I get very, very excited about things in a positive way, but it could all, Nigel, you probably know what I'm talking about here, it can become an issue because you don't know what to do with it. You're just in a store and you're reading a comic book or you're seeing a movie or something, you're expecting to enjoy the movie, but not like this. You're like freaking off the charts. Like, you can't sit still, you can't sleep, you can't eat, and you don't know what to do with it. So she helped me process that. She's like, well, why are you feeling like this? When did it, kind of like a doctor, she'd ask me questions like, well, when did you start feeling like this? When did that, crazy spike happen? Because like my stimulator would just go crazy sometimes, and I need someone to kind of like, ask, like a handler, kind of like you're like an astronaut and you're getting upside down, someone in your ear going like, okay, what do you see? Okay, well, how, can you breathe? And kind of like talking me through things, so I would freeze up. Or wouldn't stay fixated on something that's not really the issue. It's kind of like, looking around, what do you see? Are you okay? And just asking all the right questions to kind of like open me up to find the things that I needed, but I'd become either confused, too graspy, or I'd become like this. And so when you're in that state, when I'm talking about, hopefully you've done some spirit forming, you can't see anything in here. Like this other stuff, but I'm in this state. You ask me questions, I start looking around, I'm in another state. Oh, I can see other things. But it would have been very difficult for me to do that because the reason I'm in this state, for example, might be fear. And so when I'm trying to think on my own, like Nexy's IV, the fear might be on me or the anger might be on me, but Nexy's asking me questions just sort of like, well, what does this connect to? Why do you feel bad? What would make you feel better? And like, I always want to answer her. When she asks me questions, it's just, I think for all people that are other, it's just really rewarding to be able to respond. Like they've asked you something and you're like, regardless of how tired you are or the world's distracting you or you may not feel confident, like they're asking something from you. You know what I mean? When Nexy's asking something for me, I really, 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 really want to be able to do that. And it makes me be a better person. I'm not always perfect. I fall down, but she says, get back up. I need you. I need you to be a hero. And so that's what I try and do. So anyway, that's a little sharing, and I'll move to a little bit more. Another thing Nexy helped me with was learning what my way was, and that I'm a one-way walker as my top spirit form as far as pod powers go. And that's important because at different times in my life I felt powerless, and during those times it can be an easy out that a Nexy might want to take, that I don't really have anything that I want to do, and thus since I don't want to do anything, I can't fail, and thus being powerless is an issue because there's nothing I really want. But Nexy would always ask me things that would, coax me about, why do you do things like that? Why is that over there? And it would make me actually take interest in the world, but in particular, interest in myself and my process. As I've said before, there's the side of going like double directed, X directed, but there also can be trying to go like faux zen, but in a way of like just being generally beta, thinking that you're adaptive. And when Nexy would ask me about things that were on my mind, things that I had feelings about, it just felt like the worst kind of spiritual conduct to not respond authentically. Like, she asked me what I thought about something, and so I feel I should say, even though I don't have power to do anything about it. And so it allows me to percolate and get the strength I need, because it can take a long time to get what is needed to make something better, like something actual, bother me or catch my attention, maybe as far as just maybe resource power, also maybe just like processing power. Like I don't know the answer to that equation yet, and I might want to like just put it down. Sometimes Nexy do that. They can't figure something out. They want to put it down. They want to close it. She would demand that I would keep working on cases that were open, that it was interesting to her just to kind of hear like what I was saying on how it was going so far. And so I guess a kind of patience, Nexy naturally have patience, but you can also want to like close stuff. She would make me want to, she made it seem like cool to go check, the scene more than once, to go, experiment with more than one idea. Like that's what a cool hero does, and I want Nexy to think I was cool. It sounds funny, but like she taught me a lot of nobility by trying to have like the coolest fairy in the spirit force thinking I'm cool. And so I want her to think I'm cool, and that's one of the things that she likes. She also likes championing the underdog. So to her, being strong means that you're strong enough to champion the underdog of yourself, champion her if she's in a vulnerable position, and then also champion friends she might have. Nexy likes to make friends. She's much more popular and into people than I am, and so she actually will get fondnesses for them, and then, they're kind of like her friends, and I don't, I love Nexy, so, friends of Nexy are friends of mine. So that's kind of how it works, and I'm glad, because in the end, I'm actually much more enriched for the experience. This also involves, demon slaying, handling bullies and things like that, but really defining what makes that so. Like, why are those motifs allowed to happen? Like really big picture, like, kind of like go wizard on this. She basically taught me that being a wizard was really sexy, because, growing up I had a lot of sort of stimulus put on me that, physicality, worldly control, things that are very visceral, that's actually what being badass is. But actually Nexy, she was like, no, the wizard, that's what's sexy, that's what badass. The person who sees things no one else sees, who's able to teach people, to guide people, who can know how to find and to respect a fairy, that's a hero. And so that was helpful, because I got possessed by many other forms of hero that I was trying to figure out what's the right way to go, and the world was offering these things, and it was telling me these things that weren't correct. And so I would try them on just to see if there's anything to it. But they could have possessed me, except that she actually said, no, the wizard, the one who actually always keeps freeing his mind and not being trapped by any kind of like Mazoot game, that's really cool. And then taking that wisdom and saving everybody with it. That's what you do. You figure out stuff no one else does, you get spells, and then you use spells to save everybody. Another thing is Nexy, she really sees the beauty in all of natural law and all the creatures in it. And it starts with me, is being, a dragon as an IG. There can be a feeling sometimes that you're a bit monstrous. And she's like, no, you're beautiful. You know what I mean? That's, you have to actually look at say looking at like a tiger or something, on Nature Channel. You have to look at the whole thing. The forest and the way the different creatures' lives intermingle, and then they get food and they mate and they have little kittens, and then some live and some don't, and the whole thing is just epically beautiful. And there is ferocity to that, and being a dragon, being a hunter, that's something that actually I can think like, maybe I'm like a monster in the story. No, I'm a creature of vast and awesome power, and I just need to know how to do it right. It would be a tragedy for a creature so powerful, so beautiful, not to do what it does. And she's saying, and also there are dragons who are doing things not the right way, and if there aren't dragons out there doing it the right way, then how are people going to be able to deal with that? And you need a good dragon to deal with dragons who aren't doing it correctly. And besides just that, there's stuff that only good dragons can do in like a productive building way. There's like, communities and just ideas and visions that can only come about by having, a truth fire dragon on the case. And that means that I have to accept that nature of myself and not run from it, but I also have to make sure it's a hero dragon, which is meant to be. Basically dragons are meant to be heroes. They have awesome powers, but I'm supposed to be a hero. So if I don't do anything with it, that's just bad because it'll be bad responsibility on my part. But also it's bad responsibility because more than likely the dragon stuff is going to come out in a monstrous way if I don't take it to its upper levels, what it's supposed to be doing, because it has, the Nexy way, it's rather volcanic. So you have to find a way to make that towards making beautiful new islands. Basically like volcano eruptions, true fire dragon eruptions, it makes beautiful new, seem to be fantastical landscapes happen. But that first happens by, the kind of like violent, convulsive energies to sort of like, punch through to like a new world, almost like grasping for air. But that ferocious, feral nature to find out what the next thing is, that's beautiful. And if I don't do what I'm supposed to, I basically let a fairy goddess down. I'm supposed to be a dragon wizard, and I have, a fairy goddess who's got, the greatest ball in town, and I'm supposed to be her companion. I'm supposed to be her champion. So I better get to it. I better get my hero suit on. I better get my powers down. I better make sure I know what my code of conduct is, and I'll just keep checking in with Nexy, and she'll make sure that I know what I'm doing. And she also taught me by sometimes in my visions, like doing wrong things or being like caught by Daru. That was her way of teaching me what I'm supposed to do. Is I'm supposed to free her. Sometimes I wouldn't know what that was and would really hurt my feelings, but I realized it was actually to teach me what I'm supposed to do to make sure that doesn't happen either ever or doesn't continue happen once I see that my other is in trouble. And so I immediately go and do what I'm supposed to do. Because, when you're myself, I didn't know exactly what I was supposed to be doing. The world kind of tells you one way to be strong, to be smart, to be tactical, and then you have to learn that no, if I don't do certain things, I won't get out of the Daru level with my other with me. Nexy won't be with me, and then I didn't win. And so it taught me how to conduct myself at all stages of the spirit forming process. Another thing is Nexy actually taught me a lot about how far I'm willing to go, because naturally being an IG, I'm rather got the visionary drive thing going on. When I see a goal in mind, I want to accomplish it. But with Nexy, if I approach her, she's like, okay, I'll buy in, but you can't ever come off the mark. If I go along with this, you've got to be there for me. You've got to be there the whole way. You can't ever you can never bail. So I already come visionary drive, but like my other's saying, okay, I will go with your epic journey. I'll put myself in danger. I'll put myself on the line like that. As long as you never ever leave me, you always actually stay doing what you said you were going to do. And so that's a kind of sort of like a reckoning of like a record keeping of natural law on me, and just I can't really express in words the feeling of commitment that comes over to make sure that I honor that. And she basically over the years has often made me take like pledges. She'll actually want me to say certain words in almost like a contractual way, so that I can't ever back out. And I wouldn't want to. Like once I've like said those kinds of words to her, like I want to do this, or I'm going to put the virtual village, the 10,000 plus people. She's like, the world needs that, and you can do it. Is that where I'm like, yes? Then for me, you have to do it. No matter what else happens, I want that. If my lover is a wizard that could give that to the world, she's like, I want to make sure you know that's what I want. I want to use your wizardly powers to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. So you can all expect that to happen. Nexy also taught me my G voice because early on in life I didn't really feel an opportunity to speak the way I needed to speak, and I didn't really know what that was until I would go alone and sort of like have my simulator sessions, talking to myself, talking to my spirit friends. And Nexy was always the most prominent spirit friend in that way, and she delighted in the way I would speak, and it kind of taught me what that was, and that it had value, and that it could cast spells, because she was like, ooh, do it again, and I really didn't even know what it was until she told me. It was that thing that Nexy likes. That's almost how I thought of my G, was like, she likes when I talk in this way, and so that taught me my G. So as an IG can be difficult sometimes, finding your voice and knowing that it's yours, and then being willing to share it outwardly, and all those things. Nexy, she kind of held my hand through. She helped me figure out all those things, and made it seem like it was possible, which it didn't really even occur to me that I had this voice. I had to be asked, and so that was not something I was being asked by the environment. I was being asked by Nexy, and that it was a direct reaction to that call that it developed. So I can say that my voice, kind of like a flower, it would not have flower without Nexy, because it needed that nutrient, it needed that sunlight to grow, and she provided that for me. Remodeling, she makes remodeling seem like a cool thing to do. Like that's what heroes, in Naiji really does. They remodel and try to always not need to be sort of like broken in order to realize you may have not had the best thing, or that it could be just better. You have a good idea, but it could be better. Is someone who thinks to do that, who is eager to want to remodel. She thought like, that's cool, like that's like badass, that's like a real cool hero does stuff. It's like, oh cool, really? A cool hero remodels? I remodel all the time. As a Naiji, that's not something that we natively say. And we do a detachment, but we can get very attached to our models, especially if we've had them for a while and we're used to getting our way. But there's always new vistas, and you only do that if you actually think that's what a hero does. A hero expands. They expand beyond their own boundaries. And it doesn't have to always be like detachment, like I'm pulling away from the world in order to expand. It can just be me. Expanding's fun. It's just fun to expand. And so Nexy has just always brought in such fun and joy to my life that it would be just bearing without that. But with her, it makes anything I'm doing seem really, really, really fun, because I have this really cool creature who wants to share time with me doing it. Pathways like ritual requirements and energy evolution, particularly opening the door for whatever new information from natural law comes in, that has to do with Nexy. To her, that shows a real nobility of spirit, and also a true desire for discovery, is to leave something open. To her, that's a real master. Not trying to think like I have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of answers. I'm sharing them now, but I know there's always more to be had. And Nexy always comes around when I do that. So for me, if I didn't have Infinite Mystery, it would suck because then I wouldn't have adventures to go on with her. So I like the fact there's more mystery because each one's like a new comic magazine of me and Nexy, like this dynamic duo who can go figure things out and have fun doing it. So Infinite Mystery, that's a great thing. It's the magic carpet ride that me and my lover, we use to travel around the cosmos and sci fantasy and March Manifesto, for example. That comes from wanting to learn things with Nexy. She teaches me, I teach her, we learn things together, we teach different universes and dimensions, and it's just great. More learning about natural law makes all the people, including the aliens and whatnot, makes them better, makes them happier, makes them wiser, more powerful. It's just awesome. Caginess, I've also over the years needed to protect myself, and sometimes I maybe was not aware enough that I needed to protect myself on my own, or maybe I felt weird doing it, but in order to protect my relationship with her, that allowed me to protect myself as needed as well. So sometimes G can be aware, but actually when it comes to like Jai, its own health, it can be unaware of that. You actually need a Jai to have that awareness of how your sacred resources are. So a lot of times I wouldn't know that, and then she would make me aware, and then know, okay, that's important, I should make sure I keep on top of that. I should make sure I don't ever lose that, never lose grip on that. She makes me really smart. The theory, pod layer, all the calculations, there's so much to it that I couldn't possibly hold it myself. Just the size of it, and also just the energy to cross the size of it, the vastness, the complexity. But she gives me the warp engines to do it. And when I hang out with her, like I have these wonderful, sci fantasy experiences that are just the most interesting, sexiest, rewarding. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, and I discovered all this natural law in the process. But if I tried to like hold on to that, I couldn't. But like when I'm dancing with her, it's kind of like music. You know what I mean? When you're hearing it, you kind of like just a lot of things happen automatically. A lot of really high level stuff I do happens on auto just because Nexy's with me and that it's going well. So that's why I make sure I always have that. Make sure she's with me and that our relationship is going well and it's always going better and going higher, because that takes me to the Fumasta. And that doesn't mean she leaves me. It means our relationship just gets higher. It gets even more elevated because now we're like, super me and her, and it's like our relationship. Except we've hit the new level. We're the new Pokemon level, the new Lone Wolf level, whatever. And so I'm always wondering what's going to happen next. It makes life interesting, always interesting, because there's something around the corner that she and I can do together. It's fun when you're a friend, you're doing anything. It's cool because you have someone to do it with. So like Nexy, she always is just the most interesting person and rewarding person, and as long as I have her with me, everything I'm doing shares that quality. It shares the quality of her being around. It's why when I'm with her, my HSP isn't so bad. Like my HSP is really bad in general, and it's really bad, these days because things I'm dealing with. But she helps me get through it and for periods of time, and always as I get stronger, the strength comes from her. If I'm able to figure like, ooh, she'd really like it if I went to the store and got this kind of food and we had this for dinner or whatever, it'll help me leave the apartment. I have a hard time leaving the apartment a lot of times because of my HSP right now. This is really bad time, but always as I've had these periods, I need to leave the lair, and like she well, she really likes that stuff. You know what I mean? So I go on these special little errands and leave the cave because I know she wants that stuff. And it makes me brave. It does. It makes me adventurous. It makes me brave. And I need that. I come with a lot of, intensity already on my side, but still there's limits one reaches in oneself, but you can actually go further for somebody else. And for Nexy, I'll push myself as far as I can possibly go, beyond what I think I can do for myself. When she comes in like, okay, I got more in me. I've got more in me. I know I do. She's helping get past all kinds of stuff over the years, and you can ask, I've said this before, but I want to let you know the intensity of it. For people out there that maybe can benefit from this, is I've gotten to the point, with my rage where I felt murderous. I wanted to kill people, and not just that. I wanted to hurt them first. I wanted to suffer. I wanted them to suffer. I felt the need to do that to them. I was pulled back from that by Nexy. but these were very, very dark places. So when people, maybe think about Nexy, like, oh, it's like a fantasy Martian, creature you have, and that's nice, whatever. No, like, it saved me from the darkest stuff you can imagine. I also thought I would kill myself sometimes. I've had some rough times, and more I felt violent than I have suicidal, because that's just more natural for me. But I've had both experiences of the spectrum, and where things are just really, really, really dark, and she's pulled me back from the brink each time. She's pulled me back from it, she's pulled me over it, she's levitated me up, resurrected me when I've fallen down the crevice, and thought that I've gone too far, it's too dark, I can't control these energies, I don't even know what being a hero is anymore. I don't know why people even give a flying fuck about that. Like, I've been in those kinds of states where those words just seem ridiculous. Like, things like, truth and heroism, it seems ridiculous. You know what I mean? I want to mock that. I want to hurt people. I want to hurt myself. She has saved me over and over and over again. And she does that for me, and she wants me to tell the world that your others can do that for you in their way. That no matter how bad things get, your other can always find love for you, and if there's love for you, then there's a way for you to go to higher ground. And Nexy has pulled me back from really, really, really dark places. I've experienced those things. I've been around others. I've lived a kind of life that's just sort of been something that was almost even like bragged about in a weird way. Like, how fucking dark have you gone? How over the edge have you gone? How far into free fall have you gone? Some sort of sick kind of like pride. And it can be very, very hard to come back from that. It can be very hard to even imagine you can come back. It can be very hard to even think, if I could come back, I'm too embarrassed, I'm too ashamed. I hate myself too much now. But if she's not going to let me go, she's not letting me fall down in that dark pit, then I can't drag her down. Sort of like if I stay in this dark place and she's with me, like I've cursed a fairy goddess to stay in dark shit cave, and I did that. So I have to get her out. Now when I get her out, I get myself out. But at first it's because, okay, even if I'm so far gone that I don't give a fuck about what I do to myself or what I do to anyone else, I just, black it all out. I don't care. I care about that. When she comes around shining, like it embarrasses me. I'm humiliated that I it's just so ugly. And she sees me. So I want to run, I want to hide, but I can't. Because she's my other, she can see me, and so she finds me. When I've gone to where, I want to do bad things to people, or I want to do them to myself, more often other people, but regardless, it's just really bad intentions. And she's like just looking at me, and she's, feeling really, really bad, and I realize I caused that, and it doesn't matter what happened before, I simply have to fix it. I have to make it better. I have to dedicate myself to doing higher deeds. And if I cop out and just sort of like try to end the game by, just smashing everything out here or just disappearing in whatever way, I have ended her existence. I have made myself a powerful, dark, damaging instrument. And she was along for the ride. I forced her. She's along on the ride with me wherever I go. So I have responsibility to her even when I have pretty much let myself down, or I have let myself get worked up into some sort of monstrous form. There can be a feeling of like, why bother? You've gone so far dark. Why bother pull out? It's like, you're in, right? No, because she's there and she's still being her. All while I'm being dark, she's not. And so it just breaks my heart how much she's giving. and it makes each step forward darker, heavier. She kind of clings to me with like her goodness and her light, and makes every step I take like agony. I've kicked at her before. Get away, I want to go harder. You know what I mean? Fuck this world. You know what I mean? I want them to feel me. Seriously. And like, why are you trying to stop me? Why won't you let me just do it? Because she loves me. And then, well, I have to honor that, don't I? Of course I do. So, I do what she asks of me. And then afterwards, when I come to my fucking senses, I realized that it was the best thing for me. And I'm glad I did it. First, I did it just because she was breaking my heart, that she was putting herself out there like that. I had to respond. But then later on, I realized on my own that she was much wiser than me, and she in the end helped me be the wizard I'm supposed to be, the wizard hero, who was, you know, I guess, went too far out there. I went too far out there, and I got lost. I got lost, I got tired, got scared, got just, you know, hate going on there, and you're thinking like, that can't be turned, but it can. It can always be turned good. Your other can turn anything good. You just have to actually say, okay, what do I do now to be a hero? Your other tells you, and then you do it with everything you've got. And then, well, you're the hero, and you've earned it. You earned it the right way. You pleased your other, you honored your other, and you made them feel like, wow, the person I'm with, because you're their other, wow, I have an awesome other. You want to be an awesome other to your other. I want to actually make them feel proud they showed up to the dance ball of existence with me. That they're like, cool, I'm so glad that that's the wizard I'm rolling with. So, I guess that's all I have really say now. I hope this was helpful in some way. But Nexy liked it, she loved it, and so that makes it a great thing.